Bear Down Bears fans, another week of the Chicago Bears podcast coming your way. Y'all already know how we get down over here, man. Lance Briggs is in the building, and we have to look at how this Bears team actually matches up. Of course, rookie minicamp and all that stuff is happening, but we want to talk about this roster that Ryan Poles has built, and realistically speaking, how they match up versus the teams that they're going to be standing opposite of. And we got to start, of course, with the hated rival. Might as well start it off with the Green Bay Packers. So we're going to break that down today. Also, a little schedule release talk with Lance. Schedule release is supposed to be coming this week. See how he felt about the schedule release. All that and more in today's episode of the Chicago Bears podcast. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave that 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. And make sure that you remember that this is brought to you by the Hard Rock Casino in Northern Indiana. Las Vegas style gaming, just 30 minutes from Soldier Field. Exit 6 right off of I-80-94. Lance, what's going on, man? We got rookie minicamp. Any memories popping up for you this week?
Yes. Rookie minicamp coming out to Chicago. Seeing the sun out, and I'm feeling like I can go out in shorts and a short sleeve shirt. Warwick Holdman, one of the veteran linebackers, he's like, don't be fooled. Like, it's cold outside, right? And I remember going outside, starting to trot, and I was like, oh yeah, no. I went right back down to the dungeon and put me on a long sleeve, and then went out to practice.
Now, did you take the time to cut off the sleeves on a shirt, or did you already have a cutoff prepared? Did they have one ready for you?
Listen, we're in the league now, okay? We're in the league now, so I didn't need to rip my shirt, all right? I went down and got my long sleeve. I had my cutoff. I didn't have to get anything ripped off until the season. You know, practice, you can wear what you want. You only got to be tough on Sunday. So, you know, it was important that I respect that Chicago, that hawk in Chicago. Oh yeah, and I learned it real fast, real quick.
You had a cold rookie minicamp then. It was a chilly rookie minicamp for you.
Yes,
very different times. Man.
I'm coming from the hot heat desert in Phoenix, from training to Chicago. You know, it's just the summer is beginning. But there's still that hawk. The hawk is still biting now. Oh yeah. That hawk's out there. It's screaming, dog. It's screaming. I ain't gonna lie to you though. It's a nice day here today, man. We got about 80 today. We got about 80 of them mugs by the end of the day. Yeah, I mean, not a bad day. Not a bad day. It's not too hot. Not too
cold.
Boat weather right there.
Nice little boat weather. You know what I mean? I'm not a boat guy. I don't get on the water. I think boats sink. And if God intended for me to be on the water, He gave me gills.
Oh, I mean, she teaches you how to swim, though. It's just
I can't swim. I can't swim.
There I can't swim. You don't need gills if you can swim, there, fella.
I guess that's a valid point. I can't argue that. I guess that's such a valid point. Nobody's ever hit me with that one before. Hey, man, let's jump into a little bit of football talk. Love any day that we get Lance on the pod, man. I want to talk about how the Chicago Bears realistically actually match up here, Lance, because of course there's excitement. There's you look at the offense, you look at the defense, and you're just like, oh my God, I think we might have something here. But especially in this NFC North, it's not like just the Chicago Bears got better. And I feel like some people kind of look at it and they're like, we're coming for the North. But there's some teams that were already really good last year that got better. And I think the Packers actually are one of those teams. I think they added some nice depth in this draft as well. And of course, there's a certain running back that they added to this team that I am not looking forward to having to face twice a year for the next couple of years. But I don't want to do this in the normal way, right? Muzz always say, compare our defense to their defense and who's better. Mm-hmm. But realistically, a defense not going to play a defense.
Right.
So I want to do this.
You're trying to outplay the other team's defense, but that's not who you're on the field with.
Exactly. So I want to do this. How does this Chicago Bears defense match up versus the offense and vice versa? And let's start there. You being the defensive guy, let's start on the side of the ball you feel strongest about. When you look at what the Packers did last year, really, by the end of that season, that offense was clicking. I mean, like Jordan Love really coming into his own throughout the season and becoming somebody that Bears fans we're not thrilled with. But at the same time, this Chicago Bears defense last season finishing as one of, if not the best defenses in the NFL, doing a great job taking the football away. Maybe didn't get as much pressure as we would like on the quarterback, but some things are going to be addressed as we continue to get closer to the season. What's your feeling right now on how this Bears defense matches up against this Packers offense?
Well, let's start with a few of these Packers names here. They went through another year where you have kind of the no-name Packers wide receivers.
Yeah.
And then, by the end of the year, because of the play of their quarterback, who Christian Watson is, who Romeo Doubs is, and Jaden Reed even came along. So you have guys now who have some sort of they've established themselves as consistent players now, and unfortunately for us as Bears, those guys are going to be a problem. And now you add Josh Jacobs to the equation. You drafted Jordan Morgan to come in at left tackle, and we got to remember Jordan Morgan's not going to be facing Montez Sweat every snap. Sweat's on the other side. This is probably where they want Austin Booker maybe to develop, and maybe he becomes that threat on the other side. But yeah, so to me it spells, we bring in a running back. We are going to commit to the run as well as the pass to set up the pass.
Yeah, and I thought last year, they had a really good mix of running back, run to pass ratio. Now, numbers wise, right? They weren't a crazy rush team, 15th in the NFL, middle of the pack, kind of what you expected. Pass yards, they were 19th. Hold on. The switch seasons on me. Let me get back to the right ones now. 10th or 15th in rushing, 14th in pass yards last year. So a little bit of an improvement. 12th in points per game. But the one thing that they did that I thought they did really well was they allowed their guys to all kind of grow together. You mentioned some of those names in there when you talk about this Packers offense, and you instantly go to the receiver room. Christian Watson, a guy who dealt with a ton of injuries, so maybe, that's one to keep an eye on. But the growth of Romeo Doubs and, to me, Jaden Reed. Yeah. Jaden Reed was a name for me that really stood out during the draft process. When I looked at him, I was like, this guy is just a sure-handed catcher. That's going to make Jordan Love's life so much easier, because there were moments when he got into trouble and he could fall back and rely on a couple of all of these young receivers. And realistically, one of the youngest teams in football, but they were ready for the moment. I thought Matt LaFleur did a really good job preparing his team to get ready for the moment. But on the flip side of all of that, Lance, I think the Bears come into this season with arguably the best group of DBs in the NFL.
No doubt. I've been saying that about the defensive back group for the Bears for a while now. It wasn't just last year. I thought they've been strong. They've just been missing the important pieces, which is your pass rush. So I've always felt like our defensive backfield has gotten exposed because of our lack of being able to get to the quarterback, either to get him off the spot or get that ball out of his hands in under 4 seconds consistently. And once that number changed and we started getting the ball out consistently under 4 seconds or getting to the quarterback, you see the huge strides our defense made in taking the ball away and being opportunistic and being able to step in front of those throws that they knew were coming, and they can plant that foot and make a play on.
Now, the one thing that I think adds to this too, right, and I think you're 100% correct on that, but you get in a full season of Montez Sweat. We saw a lot of people get better with Sweat last year. I thought DeMarcus Walker looked better with Montez Sweat. He looked like the D-Walk that you got from Tennessee, where it was like, yeah, he's not the guy. I wasn't hoping that he was going to be the guy. But he was the other guy that could create pressure that would send people into Montez. You got a couple young pieces in the middle that need to absolutely, see some development. But do you expect to see more pressure from this Bears team with just the roster that we currently have? Or do you think there needs to be some additions made? I think that you could see kind of that second half of the season pressure, and hopefully that materializes into more sacks.
Yeah. Listen, the play from the linebackers it was outstanding during the run, during even the initial part of the run of
TJ Edwards
of
a
the.
monster.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean? And TJ all over the place. Tremaine, he's really got to shore up his tackling, whether it be open field, but he's got too many opportunities and he's missing too many of those opportunities. Did much better on the back 3 games of the season, but he needs to be more consistent from the start to finish. He's an impact player. He's a leader on that defense. What I did like Andrew Billings at nose. He was the
I
guy
love
that,
it.
that
Yeah.
yeah,
Big
he
Bill.
was, yeah. I think he's a force there. He understands he understands his role and what he's got to do. I think he creates, Javon Dexter. I think he's coming along. I think he got better. Do I think that he's the elite 3 technique? No, I don't think he's there yet, and maybe he can be,
Right.
but I don't think he's on the level of a Aaron Donald or Tommy Harris.
Oh, absolutely.
Not right now. No. There's a difference.
It's a long way to go for that.
Right. It's a long way to right.
It's a long way to go for that.
However, if you don't have that, when you have a Billings, a Sweat, and if you can getting DeMarcus Walker to benefit from those other pass rushers, you could be very effective. And then behind him, you have Edwards, Edmonds, and Kyler Gordon. There's a lot of talent there. Jaquan Brisker had a 20 tackle game. That means he's all over. That means he's just making plays, flying to the ball. Tariq Stevenson in his rookie season. You can't ask for a better rookie campaign from a corner. So, on his sophomore season, I just look for him to be even more aggressive this year. You come in your rookie year playing against some of the best players in the world, and you had an outstanding year. You're one of the better corners in the league. You have to know that you're gonna you can only go up from there.
Yeah. When you look at and let's say versus the Packers, right? We got to see 2 games versus the Packers last year. I think the second game, the defense did a little bit more of their job, held the team under 20 points, but Jordan Love, I believe, had a 333-yard passing day, a couple of touchdown passes. But, if we'd gotten a little bit more from our offense, it would have been that's a game that could have gone in the Bears' favor. But technique-wise, kind of educate us a little bit. And I'll start with Tremaine Edmonds. When you see Tremaine, what responsibilities do you feel he needed to do a better job at in those 2 games? Because when I see Tremaine, first I got a chance to interview him. He was leaning over to talk to me, and he still was like 4 inches taller than me. Like he's a massive human being, long arms. You can tell he's got the speed, tell he's got the reach, he's got all of that. What was he missing last year, though, that was missing from his game?
Number one, anticipation. There was early on in the season, but for me, I think he puts himself in position majority of the time. I felt like at the beginning of the year, the none of the backers outside of Jack Sanborn were playing with anticipation the way that I thought they could. But as the year went on, I thought Tremaine put himself in position to make a ton of plays. And had he have made those plays, you're talking next level Mike linebacker. You're talking, you're arguably one of the top Mikes in the game right now. But what he did, even though you put yourself in position, you still got to make the play. Yeah. There were too many missed tackles. And on some of those there were third down situations where he makes that tackle, we're off the field.
Yeah.
That's the difference between, the losing to Detroit the first time. That might be the difference between losing to Minnesota the first time. And the good thing about that problem is in the final 3 games, he was a much better tackler.
Yeah.
Now listen, it's a 17-game season. I shouldn't have to say in the last 3 games he was a better tackler.
So 14 of them you were not pleased.
Yeah, you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But TJ Edwards was all over the place.
Yeah.
He played, and me arguably, he's up there with the best weak side backers in the game, the way that he played. And I thought that in the very beginning, I thought that he wasn't playing the quarterback extremely well, or anticipating where it needs to go, getting his shuffles in, breaking on the ball. But it didn't take him long. It didn't take him long to get warmed up. And when he got warmed up, he created for everybody else in the open field. He got guys down. When he blitzed, he hit home. And when the ball was near, he held on to it, and we had us going the other way. He was very fun to watch. He was very, very fun to watch. And he showed up each week.
Do you feel like, and the guy we talk about least in all of this, right, is always Jack Sanborn. Do you feel like because Jack Sanborn doesn't have the physical talents that the other two, I think TJ Edwards is physically gifted. Tremaine Edmonds is a specimen. Like, he is if you're going to build a linebacker in the lab, here you go. I mean, like, do you feel like because Jack Sanborn doesn't have the physical gifts, he does have the anticipation that you're looking for, I know where to be, I know how to put myself in a position for the size that I have?
Jack Sanborn plays fast. It doesn't matter what his time was. It doesn't matter what you say about this or that. He plays fast. He has a knack for understanding where and how to get to the ball. And what I love the most about Jack is when he gets contact on a guy, he realizes this isn't the end. Like, this is the beginning of the fight. Like when I get my hands on an offensive player, I don't expect him to just go down. Like, in order for me to keep this ball carrier from gaining any yards or taking him back, the fight begins right now.
Right.
So I love that about him. He gets guys down with little or no yards whatsoever, and that plays big. Because if it's second and 6, he touches a guy at 3. He tackles a guy about 3 yards from the line from the first down marker. All right, now we got 3rd and 3. All right, where a lot of guys will begin to grab a guy and he'll fall forward for 2 and 3. So now you're dealing with the 3rd and 1 situation, or possibly move the sticks.
Yeah,
you give your team an opportunity when you fight for and make them fight for every inch.
I think it was, there it is again. There's that ringtone again.
Tim's. Not Timu, Tim's.
Not Timu, Tim's. That's what you were trying to get last week.
I knew it was a 4-letter word that started with a T. It had an E in it.
I remember you last season, Lance. Like, I think I want to say it was that Raiders game we played against Josh Jacobs. And Jack Sanborn hit him in the backfield and absolutely demolished him, brought him down. And I just remember you coming in the next day and just being like, that's how we need to tackle every game. And at that point, we were struggling with, right? There were a lot of, we were questioning the hits principle often. I'll say that. And I think that's the one thing coming into this season that I would like to question less, especially going up against a team like the Packers, right? Is like, I need the hustle. I need the intensity. Takeaways are a product of hustle and intensity. And we saw that in the second half of the season. But I need to see that play in, play out.
Yep.
If at the beginning of the tackle, I'm fighting for everything. At the middle of the tackle, I'm fighting for everything. At the end of the tackle, this guy's going the other direction. And it did take us a while to get there. And from our linebacker position, it took the linebackers a while to get a compliment from you during the season. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was like week 5 or 6 before the linebackers got a compliment.
Well, I mean, I talked about excuse me. I talked about Jack. I talked about Jack. He was the one guy that, regardless of what was going on, I'm like, this sucker's playing. Like, he's getting after it right now, and every opportunity, we were even talking about, listen, this guy should be in the starting lineup. What I mean? We need to work him in there somehow, some way, because he's playing harder than everybody else on the field.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And that's the one thing by the end. When Montez showed up, there wasn't any of that. And I love that. So I think the Bears are in a good position defensively this year. I have a lot of excitement around this defense. I think there's more to expect from this defensive line as well. Like, I get it, right? We want that big name next there. You want the guy that can go out and he's going to have a 7-sack, 8-sack season, and you got 30 sacks on the defensive line. But I think that there's going to be the D-Walks, the Gervon Dexters. There's going to be a growth of having a full season next to Montez, not just the 9 or so games that we saw of him last year. When you look at this team offensively, though, now we got to kind of look at this Packers defense. Packers defense got a lot. First off, a lot of first round picks on it, a lot of big names on it.
Is.
And I mean, was very, very under. I don't know what the right word is. Underutilized, underperforming. Like, where do you kind of draw the line on what we saw from that Packers defense for a good chunk of last season? On was it a coaching issue? They do end up moving on from Joe Barry. Was it a guys on the field issue? But a lot of first round picks, a lot of talent on this Packers defense.
Oh, there's a ton of talent there. All right, so there's a lot of first rounders there still today. Yeah. So it comes to me. It comes down to this. If you have all that talent and you're not getting 11 guys to the ball, and that's not your standard. Like what is your standard? When I look to my left and I look to my right, I see guys that were elite in college, and it's going to transfer over. I see these guys in practice, and I'm like, man, there's a lot of talent here. So what is our standard? Barry gets let go of, because in my opinion, his standard wasn't high enough for these guys. You walk in that room with these guys, these veterans that know how to play at a high level. That's exactly what the standard should be. We set our standard up here, and we do not bend or break for nobody. All right. The player that probably scares me the most is Rashawn Gary against Braxton Jones.
Yes.
Okay. That's going to be one position that is we're going to keep a watchful eye, because Rashawn Gary is playing at his best right now. Okay. And if we can't solidify that side over there, Roma Dunze, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, they're not going to catch many footballs.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the blind side. Matter of fact, not only is that the blind side, but that's the side that might get your quarterback hurt.
Right.
More than the other, So it's one of those deals. We do have a Caleb Williams. He can scramble. That's one of the things he does extremely well. We saw that with Fields. Caleb can do that as well. And he seems to be more accurate on the run when he throws. So.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's got all the skill set in the world, but I think that is a great place to start. You look at just the lines in general. Rashawn Gary, I mean, a dangerous name, and he's next to Kenny Clark. You know what I mean? Like, I think this Packers defensive line, there's something to be reckoned with here, and the part that scares you at least scares me a little bit, is you have the name in there, Braxton Jones, who I think on this podcast, it's pretty clear that most of the people that are in the guest and rotation look at Braxton and say, listen, he's performed. Two things can be true. This is how I talk about Braxton. Braxton has outperformed being a 5th round pick. Okay. There's nothing you can say that to me that tells me he's not better than what a 5th round pick is. That does not mean he is a every play, every down left tackle to me. That does not mean that he is the best option for you. Now, on this team right now, he's your best option probably at left tackle, unless Karan Amageji gives him a run for his money when he's finally cleared to play and is able to go out there. He's still dealing with some of the effects of that injury during the offseason, or during last season, I should say. But when you look at this offensive line, to me, Braxton Jones, Tevin Jenkins, injury concerns. Ryan Bates, I have no idea. I mean, like I'll ask you, Lance, when you see a guy who was a tackle last year and played 150 snaps at center, does that scare you when you're lining up across from him?
I'd have to know what he did in college. I'd have to know his history before I judge. I mean, was he a guy that played center in college at all?
He's played 150 snaps. He played with the Bills last year, 150 snaps on the Bills. I mean, like, I don't like they're the AR centers now. We need somebody snaps.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
saw Dan Feeney step in and do a good job on that with the Bears last year. It didn't translate to him becoming the starting center.
Listen, I'm just putting it out there. You know,
Yeah.
he does have some experience. No matter how great or how little he has experience at it, I would like to know more about his collegiate career before I want to pass judgment on him moving from tackle to center.
Right.
The other thing is when you have these guys, so you have a Tevin Jenkins that's going to be next to Braxton Jones. Okay, that's
Right.
good. That's solid guy to be next to if you're healthy. However, you're defensively, you want to isolate that guy. So you want to make sure that Tevin Jenkins is occupied by a player, whether it be a linebacker coming up and showing or a tackle, to make sure to ensure that you get that one-on-one with Rashawn Gary and Braxton Jones. So want to really look for that. Look for a 5-man blitz from the Green Bay Packers, that or having a 3 technique over on the same side. Maybe even Kenny Clark playing 3 technique on the same side as Braxton Jones so that you can get that one-on-one on the side. That's what you want.
Yeah.
That's the matchup you want, and you want to do that all day long if you can, and that's going to create a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure on Braxton.
A lot of pressure on Braxton. A lot of pressure on Braxton. And the left side scares me a little bit. Not because Tevin doesn't scare me at all. I think Tevin's the most talented offensive lineman we have. His health scares me a little bit because I think that you're coming into a very interesting situation this season as well. A season where you got to make a decision on Braxton. Are you going to financially keep him around? You know what the talent is when he's on the field, but can he stay on the field? I would like to see the best names around him. That's why I wanted the Bears to go center in the draft. That's why I wanted the Bears to go left tackle in the draft. Give him the best chance so he's not trying to overextend himself to help out everybody on that line. Ryan Bates, by the way, in college, 578 snaps at left guard, played over 1,500 snaps at left tackle, 0 snaps at center.
Yeah. Yikes!
I'm not saying he can't play it. I'm saying I have a question mark on that. And then on the right side of him, right, you got Nate Davis and then Darnell Wright, which I've said with everything Nate Davis went through last year, I don't know how y'all would deal with this on a football field or on a football team if you were on the team with him, but I attribute a lot of the ups and downs that he had during the season to some of the stuff that he went through last year. You still got to do your job. If you're on the field, you got to make plays and stuff like that. But, I mean, losing the family member at the level that he did, I mean, like,
it's not easy.
I kind of can understand you having an off season.
Right.
And I'm not going to sit there and say that that's the player that he is. So I would expect more from Nate Davis. And I think Darnell Wright's a heck of a right tackle.
That's fair.
Is that how y'all would deal with that kind of if you're on the team with him and you're like, okay, we understand he's going through some things and he's trying to play through it?
Yeah, typically most football players are probably the center of the family, and the family ongoings and things that are going on. So where I would want to be on the football field so that I could really immerse myself and lose myself in the game away from, the real world. The real world is still going to happen. And the moment that you get a break, you get you're in transition to meetings, you're in lunch, those calls are coming in. Hey, what are we going to do here? What do you want to do here? How do you want to handle this? Where do you want the casket? Where do you want this and this, all that stuff? And from getting the news to everything that goes on, all the decisions that have to be made, you have to make those. So you're probably making the bulk of those decisions. So yeah, there's a lot for you to deal with. A lot of any of these players.
Is that? I mean, I would assume because everybody's dealing with that, right? It's understood on the team, like we need you to play better, but maybe we know why you're not. Or is it kind of just like, nah, my guy, we just need you to play better?
Yeah, if you're here, we got a job to do. Right. We have to do what we have to do in spite of our feelings or anything that's going on in our lives. Like for me, I lose a family member, and as crushed as I'm going to be, I still got to make sure that we have lights in our house.
Right.
I still got to make sure that my kids get to school and that they have food in their mouth. I have to take care of who's still here while they're here.
It doesn't stop. Yeah, the world don't stop.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah, I feel you on that. That's it's so. I would love. I can't wait to see him this season, and he's one of the guys that I'm really pulling for. Because of everything he went through last year and him playing through it, I would love to see him have that bounce back year. But just, I mean, offensive line versus defensive line. I don't know if I can say the Bears have the advantage there, Lance. Going up against Packers, I don't think the Bears have the advantage.
I think we're much more evenly matched than we have been in the past, and that's a good thing about our offensive line versus theirs, because there's so many first rounders on theirs. You know what I mean? And so I think we're a lot more.
That's true. Matched. Actually, we really only we got 2 first rounders on our offensive line versus 4. Yeah. I think.
Yeah.
This is true.
And that's one of the places where we're like, man, this game scares me because of Green Bay's defensive line. But it doesn't scare me like it has before. One of the reasons, and you were talking about why you wanted a center or a tackle. One of the reasons why I wanted either an elite offensive tackle or an elite defensive interior guy is because going into this season, if things don't work out as much as we want with Braxton, we're going to be in a position where it's like, okay, now we have to choose. We're going to go elite offense or elite defensive lineman.
Right.
Instead of having that elite guy, we have 2 name brand receivers. And then, if we need to improve next year on the elite defensive lineman, we can just we know where we got to go.
Absolutely. Yeah. You already got the answers. You said, well, we got them. Now we go on the other side.
Correct. Now it doesn't have to be like, which way are we going to flip the coin again? And what are we going to do? We got all these weapons. We got a short window,
I've said this a couple of times. I think by midseason, usually the NFL has gotten a lot different with. I feel like trade deadlines used to go past and you'd be like, some like a 4th round pick was traded for a backup wide receiver or something like that. Like now it feels like so many guys, like it's almost become an NBA like where it's like, and I'm getting traded halfway through the season. Like you're going to see somebody who you attributed with one team on another. I don't think there's any way that Carolina Panthers 2nd round pick makes it to the draft with us. I think that's how we address probably the other defensive end. I don't see any situation where we're using it.
Crazier things have happened. Zach Wilson, he got signed with the Broncos. Okay, they found a trade.
That's your crazy thing that Zach Wilson got traded. Would you be picking up the phone to add Zach Wilson to your team, Lance?
You'll hear the old school dial tone.
You're actually playing the dial tone into the phone because they don't have it anymore. You gotta play it on YouTube. You're calling about who? Hold on, give me a second.
Yep. We're sorry. You have reached a number that is disconnected.
The number you have dialed is not in service.
Please
stop calling. We're not taking Zach Wilson. Wait a minute. Hold on now. When you look at our receivers versus what they've got at the DB position, again, a lot of names on this defense. I mean, you're talking about Jair Alexander. You're talking about Javon Bullard, Xavier McKinney, Eric Stokes. I mean, like they got some names out there that in coverage that do scare you. But once again, the Bears got some names: DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Roma Dunze, who looks to be a dog as they've talked about him. You know what I mean? Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett, DeAndre Swift. How do you feel like our weaponry matches up versus that Packers DB room?
I think he's gonna make for a hell of a rivalry. You know, every one of those DBs that you just mentioned from the Packers, you know, they're all they got a lot of pride. You know, they know that they're quality players. They know that they're going to go against quality players. You know, Packers have had a whatever the Aaron Rodgers discount double check mentality over the Bears, and the Bears are trying to break that, you know, and so it really sets the stage for a really, really competitive game. I see it going a seesaw game, you know, in a seesaw game where we win some, we lose some, we lose some, we win some, and it comes down to that final play, you know, the final plays and the things that are happening. And at the end of the day, you know, if we're able to hit home up front, the more plays we're going to make on the back end.
Yeah. And that's the one part about it, right, that you do have to talk about is the Caleb Williams addition of that. It's all about how quickly he hits the ground running this season to me. Everything goes like it's all right. We got to slow play it. We got to make sure he's good. We got okay, and we're gonna go out here and we're gonna make sure he's safe. We're gonna run the football. But how they're talking about at least to start training camp or to start not training camp to start rookie mini camp. The one thing that he's been praised for already, which is something that I love because it's the one thing that I felt the Bears came in without going into that first Packers game is the talk around Caleb Williams is he is the most prepared person in the room at all times, that he came into this rookie minicamp with an understanding, already knowing what he needed to do, already knowing some of the cadences and different things that he had worked with his quarterbacks coach on that they got from the Bears in the top 30 visit. The Bears were a woefully unprepared team to me in that first Packers game that we played last season. It looked like we thought we didn't know we had a game versus the Packers that Sunday, that first game of the week. And I think if Caleb Williams is able to be prepared, ready to go, and hit the ground running early on, it does change a lot about how this Bears-Packers matchup goes because now your receivers are getting the ball in moments where they can then turn into the DJ Moore and Keenan Allen that we've known and loved.
Yeah, if they're if that's what they said, that he's the most prepared person in the room, that is very that's very warming. That puts a lot of stuff at ease just knowing that, because there's been too many you know first pick quarterbacks that have come in and didn't even look at their tablets.
There's what's the name in your mind right now, Lance? I think
Johnny
I got
Football.
the same. Oh, you went Johnny Football. Okay, I was going different. I was going a little bit older. I was going.
Which guy were you going with?
I was going a little Jamarcus. You know what I mean?
Jamarcus.
Jamarcus.
So, all right. So if there's one thing that does alarm me, all right, there's one thing that alarms me about Caleb is his choice to pick the number 18. Okay.
That's
now when I
concern,
saw, when I saw, because I thought, you know, all right, he'll rock, you know, maybe he'll go 10, maybe 15, you know, something like that. Then 18. So, okay, so that takes me back to a first rounder that the Bears had. That was from the Pack, from UCLA. Okay, he was a damn good college player. Well, when he got to the Bears, I believe he wore number 18. Picked in the first round and didn't work out so well. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm trying to think who was 18. Trying to go through my brain on 18s.
It's the Bears. God, I can't think of his name right. I can't think of his name right off the top.
No, you can't tease us like that, Lance, and then we don't get the let me see. I'm going through the Bears quarterback numbers here. McCown was 5. Cutler was, what the heck does this say? Oh, this can't be their numbers.
This was he was drafted before I was a Bear.
Oh, McNown.
There it is.
You might be right, actually.
There it is.
Right. No, he was 8. Cade McNown was 8. Cade McNown
he was 8. Okay, he was 18 and he was 18.
I was like, because I was looking, I was like, Kyle Orton? Like, I was like, I don't know. I liked Kyle. I thought
Kyle. Oh, listen, I had no problem.
Listen, no disrespect to how the game went. No, I thought if Kyle played, we probably win that game. But that's a whole different conversation for another day. I thought, yeah, I mean, yeah, Rex Grossman was our quarterback. I get you, but I thought if Kyle played, we may be sitting here with Super Bowl champion Lance Briggs. That's a different conversation for a different day. But yeah, no, Cade was 8. Yeah, that's what threw me. I was like, who sucked right, that was 18?
Cade was 18 at UCLA.
So you're like me. I respect that because I do get scared by stuff like that. Like when you pick from things like if Caleb Williams isn't in this draft, I would have raged against Drake May. You're telling me we're going to get number 10 from North Carolina? No, never. Don't you dare. Like, I do not want to see that in a Chicago Bears uniform again.
Don't torture. That's pure.
We are
torture.
Chicago is a basketball city for North Carolina guys. Kobe White, Michael Jordan. We're fine with basketball guys from North Carolina. I don't want football players from North Carolina. I rephrase. I don't want quarterbacks from North Carolina.
There we go.
I'm fine with football players.
I would have taken some good ones out there.
It's some good ones out there. Yeah. Oh, that's facts. I almost shot myself in the foot on that one. Like, you would miss out on the best.
I would take Julius Peppers out of
You
college.
You ain't lying. My God, there was some dogs out there, but just not quarterbacks. We could pass up on that. Who's the other one? When somebody switched their number. I think it was a DB. No, it wasn't a quarterback. I want to say it was a DB.
From North Carolina?
No. I'm just saying somebody switched their number on our defense. And I was like, ooh. Oh, Bojack switched his number. And I remember seeing it and just being like, oh no. No, that I feel like that's not gonna go well for us. I don't know why. Maybe I'm the superstitious one. They always talk about players being superstitious. I'm like, I don't like the fact that you put that number on. It makes me feel wrong. I don't know, man. But I'll say this: the one thing that I love about this Bears offense coming out is that there is options for Caleb Williams. I do believe that he'll get the ball out, hopefully quicker, and that. How much of this are you looking at? Right, we've evaluated everything else when you're looking on the field, off the field. When you look at the coaching matchup, the Matt Eberflus versus Matt LaFleur, Shane Waldron, versus Matt LaFleur, basically. Matt LaFleur is the OC there. Who's the new DC that they have there? I guess Matt Eberflus versus Jeff. Who is the new DC that they just hired up there? Jeff something with an F. What is it? Jeff Hafley, right? Jeff Hafley. I think that's their new DC up there. How do you evaluate the coaching matchup that the Bears are going up into in there?
Well, I don't know Hafley's tree, but I know I like what we're doing defensively. We ended the season on a high note and started really on a low, so we progressively got better. And Shane Waldron, we'll see what happens. They're not going to hire a guy that's not intuitive, that can't create, on that side of the ball. So the last guy
we feel that way about this now.
That's how right. I think he was in a situation last year, and I really hope that this was a situation where he really felt like he was down. We didn't get creative running the ball very much because of the situations that they were in. I hope that he comes here with an open mind and isn't bullheaded, trying to force something when it doesn't need to be forced. You have talent on the team, so the best thing you possibly can do is take what the defense is giving you, and when you do that, you keep everybody honest defensively, and you keep us guessing. When you look on the field defensively and the ball's going here, then it's going there, then it's handed off, then it's here, then it's there. It's going everywhere. That's tougher for us. But when we see that, oh man, Keenan Allen's getting 12 catches, and DJ Moore's getting 3, and he's the second leading receiver, we know how to stop you. There's too many weapons for you to be that tendency heavy to say, okay, we know exactly how to stop this team. You know,
when you speaking to the tendencies, and then we'll get up out of here. Speaking to the tendencies, though, the one thing that I think gave the Bears away 99% of the time was how they used their running backs last year. I thought if Deontay Foreman was on the field, you knew he was running it. If Khalil Herbert was on the field, you knew he was probably running it outside. If Roschon Johnson was on the field, you knew they were passing it because he was the only one that could help block. How do you utilize that running back unit this year so that we're not in another Packers game where the Bears offense seems very, very predictable?
Well, it's hard when if you're running gun so much. You know, when you're running gun, you're limited on the type of runs that you can have. Now, if you go pistol, if you're going pistol, that's a little bit different. Now you have the option to do some downhill stuff, but you're limited on what you can run when you're always in the gun, and it's a much easier read for a linebacker to see from a distance if it's pass, run, read. And if you're playing run, then you can run up. Now we're getting more of the head start than the running backs are, you know, when you had when they were under the center.
Yeah.
So and it's a lot easier to read if it's a play action pass, if it's in gun, because you're catching it now and then you're pulling it. So you're already 5 yards deep as a linebacker. So linebackers, honestly, in this situation, they should be near the ball even more than when I was playing, when the quarterbacks are under the center more often.
Yeah, this is true. I guess I never thought about it like that because they're already starting off. You see a lot more shotgun nowadays because they're trying to transition these quarterbacks into the NFL a lot easier. Do you think we'll get to a point where there's college level shotgun in the NFL, or do you always have to kind of have that under center aspect to your game?
I think you should have that under center aspect, you know, depending on your personnel and what you have. But I do. I think it creates an element, and I think that when you look around, if you're an innovative mind, you look around and you're like, okay, everyone's doing the same thing. So defensively, it's not hard for us for anybody to prepare for this.
Right.
Let's make this team prepare for stuff that they don't normally have to prepare for. You know, let's run specific plays at least 5 to 6 times a game. You know, let's have them. Let's go uneven. Let's throw an XO, an extra guy in, extra lineman in it at tight end.
Right.
Let's give them problems around that edge. Let's find their weakness, because a lot of times you're trying to, like NFL offenses, they're trying to take advantage of a player. You know what I mean? Not a scheme, but they look for the player that they can take advantage of. And the same thing they're doing on the defense. They're looking for the weak link on that defense.
Right.
They're looking for the highest tendency offensively that you're showing on tape.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, as Bears fans, we've seen our fair share of guys come in here and do that. Unfortunately, one who was on the Green Bay Packers, and Aaron Rodgers, who just seemed to love to pick on some of the DBs that we've had here. I remember
he's established ownership.
Hey, bro, who was it? Was it Buster Screen? It was one of them. He had to start, and I swear, Aaron was like, "You finna have a long day for you, buddy. Long game.
You're about to have a lot of highlights on you."
He threw at him so much. I felt like Apollo Creed's trainer. Just throw in the towel.
Get him out of there. Get him out of there.
Oh, man. Lance, appreciate you coming on as always. We appreciate you guys listening as always. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. This is how we feel the Bears match up against the Packers. I say pretty evenly, right, Lance? Yeah. We kind of did a pretty even matchup there. Packers have some weaponry. I know we want to hate them, but they got a nice team up there, so we got something to watch out for. But I think the Bears have enough weaponry to go back at them. Very excited to see what this is going to end up being. Let us know how you guys feel in the comments below. How do the Bears match up versus the Green Bay Packers? We'll be doing this over the next few weeks, so y'all stay in tune with us, man. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bear down. One love. Peace.